Yo-ho, and welcome back! We finally made it to the last 2 episodes of the Twisted Metal series. It's been a long journey, but today is officially the day we end the Episodic Breakdown. Man, I hope y'all enjoyed it just as much as I did, and after this I'm gonna do a review of the series as a whole, and I mean like everything, like the good and the bad.
What the fuck? As
well as some other videos in preparation for season 2. So yeah, keep your—
Shut up and start the video, bro.
Fine.
God.
Let's get to it. So we start with Sweet Tooth and Stu taking Mike prisoner after making him snitch about Agent Stone, literally treating him like a dog and calling him as such.
Yeah, that's a good bitch.
After being dragged out, Mike notices all the dead bodies around and starts wondering how much Stu changed after hanging out with Sweet Tooth. We learn that he didn't kill anyone though, it was all ST. After comforting Stu about his lack of kills, ST orders Mike to load up the truck with weapons that resemble the fire missiles from Twisted Metal 2012. But I'm pretty sure they're his special missiles he uses later on in episode 10. While he's gone, Mike and Stu talk it out and Mike apologizes for being such a bad friend to him.
About damn time.
And after the apology, he convinces Stu that hanging out with Sweet Tooth isn't the real him, and Stu listens. Sweet Tooth comes back out after filling the spray bottle with his freaking pee and asks what's going on with him. They say nothing, just tits. Then Stu tries to convince him that we should start over, leave this all behind. ST says nope, and they take off to get revenge on Stone for killing his followers. On the way, ST sprays his head with the lighter fluid and gives the lighter to Stu to let him do the honors when he says so, showing that this version of Sweet Tooth has his head on fire purely because he just likes how it feels, which is a contrast from his black counterpart. That sounded racist, but you know what I mean. In that game, it's revealed that Preacher cursed him with the burden of the fires of hell upon his head for being such a twisted individual. And he hated how it felt. But when given the choice to remove the fire in exchange for him to not kill anyone, he chose to break the antidote and killed Calypso on the spot. It then cuts to John the next morning after the explosion. He finds Quiet's axe on the ground and realizes the error of his ways. After wandering around, he finds a total car with a working radio inside, and he uses it to call Juggernaut. Quiet starts driving a new San Fran with the package and notices some roadkill on the road, referencing a future scene and the name of the episode. She gets stuck trying to avoid it and gets held up by a vulture with relationship problems. He also makes a Breaking Bad reference, which is pretty cool.
Kinky. Not that I'm judging, seeing as how Tasha left me for meth. Love that beautiful blue crystal so much it killed her.
And we're back. My dude from Reddit said something really interesting. He pointed out that this vulture looks just like the first driver of Roadkill from Twisted Metal 1, Captain Spears, just older. And I honestly agree with him. Like, I mean, look at this. This can't be just a coincidence, you know? Anyways, he dies and gets saved by Flower Power and the Juggernaut crew. Quiet takes the vulture's car inside and sees John waiting for her. After seeing the tension, the newly coupled Flower Power and Twister try to bring them two together, but it ends up going south. By the way, this relationship is completely new to the series. Afterwards, John attempts to apologize, but he keeps getting rejected. Twister informs them of a new way to get to New San Fran and offers to only take them there in the Juggernaut, but that's as far as she's gonna go. The rest is up to them. Quiet is still furious at John and yells that she's only doing this so she can live in San Fran, not you. It then cuts to Agent Stone talking to his soldiers at the place that Twister is taking them to. See, Agent Stone's plan was to leave this way open to simulate a gateway, but it's actually a trap. He calls them and Carl Roberts dumb at the same time and waits for everyone to appear.
Like I said, dumb. Like Carl!
John and Quiet fight more while fixing up the car, and Quiet tells him exactly why she's so mad at him. It's because he didn't act like a partner or a friend. She said he was selfish, and she thought that he was dead. He makes it up to her by making the glove department into her own little storage space and apologizes for being a jerk to her. She accepts the apology, and right when they become partners again, Agent Stone's men do a drive-by on the rigs, killing multiple people in the process. Twister tells everyone to load up to get revenge for what they did. Quiet picks a gun for the car and they start talking about the attributes of Roadkill. John saying that the gun she picked for the car will be too heavy because they're gonna put more armor on it, but she says if it's fast enough, it won't matter. This interaction is referencing the real Roadkill in pretty much every game. It's always been known for its balanced stats, with high speed and handling, but has fairly low armor. It's pretty cool that they reference this in the show. They fix up the car and John explains that he taught himself everything he knows by trying a bunch of parts until one fits. Quiet names this hunk of junk Roadkill. referencing the fact that this car is made from junkyard parts from the games, and I'm sure she named it roadkill because literal roadkill is the reason why she got the car in the first place. In the games, it's a bit different though, because roadkill is normally meant to symbolize someone piecing their life back together in some way, shape, or form, which is what Captain Spears, Marcus Kane, and John Doe were trying to do. It's either that or the driver was just homeless. They take off and there's a beautiful shot of Roadkill and Juggernaut side by side, with Roadkill taking inspiration from Twisted Metal 2 the most when it comes to the body type and the use of a warm color, with only a passenger side machine gun like in Twisted Metal Black. Other than that though, for the most part, Roadkill's design is pretty original to the series like the rest of the cars. Roadkill, Amber Rose, Twister, and everyone else in the Juggernaut pull up to the secret path that will take them to New San Fran, and Quiet quickly realizes that it's a trap once she sees Shadow. Agent Stone takes the first shot and springs the trap. After this, everyone starts getting ready, but the battle only starts once Sweet Tooth blows up 2 cars with his special missiles, and it's so freaking cool, dude.
Oh, hell yeah.
And what's cool is that the missiles he uses are from his special from Twisted Metal Black, but the laughter that's used is really reminiscent to Small Brawl's special. ST gives the order to set his head ablaze, and we finally see his iconic look from the games. You can definitely tell that they drew a lot of inspiration from Twisted Metal Black this time around with his outfit and his freakish strength. And well-known fact, he had a flaming head in every single game except for Twisted Metal 1 and 3. He starts laughing like a maniac and says it's time to play, showing respect to the actual games, and it ends. Episode 10 starts with everyone gearing up for war, and if you think about it, this is pretty much like the team deathmatch mode from Twisted Metal 2012. Even Sweet Tooth says,
Time to send in the clowns.
Referencing his faction from that game, the Clowns. All 6 contestants are together in one small arena and broken up into teams, one being Agent Stone, Outlaw, and the rest of his men versus Roadkill, Juggernaut, Sweet Tooth, and Twister. Which is so cool. Like, look at this, bro, and look at this shot. You cannot tell me that that's not clean. Twister looks just like how I said in my 3 to 5 breakdown, it being just a pretty original design, with it mostly being white and this bluish purplish decals. And though it's different, I still really like how it looks. Roadkill fires off a weapon that has to be a fire missile, because you can tell from the orange trail, and it barely misses Outlaw. Quiet does this cool tomahawk throw like she's from Call of Duty or something, and they both save each other's asses and kiss. Sweet Tooth pulls up to congratulate them and tells them that Stone is his, and Stu flicks them both off. Agent Stone comes and tries to take them out from behind, but it fails, and they pull up to the stadium. Stone shoots a homing missile at him, and right when they're about to get hit, Twister saves them, and man, she loops around the track and uses Stone's own weapon to kill Jamie and Carl Roberts, showing that she loves speed just as much as her sister did in Twisted Metal 2. Outlaw and his men start closing in on Juggernaut, and Amber Rose gets shot right in the neck. As they close in on them, Sweet Tooth comes back to Agent Stone once and for all, shooting literally anything in his path, no matter if it's friend or foe. And we start to see once his head is on fire, there's no one in the world who can talk him down. One of his missiles destroys Juggernaut, and Mike and Stu gets angry because they thought they were on their side. ST says there are no sides, and takes Mike hostage after he tries to kill him. Sweet Tooth tells Stu to shoot Mike, and just like my boy Crispy said, right here is when everything starts coming around full circle, with Stu thinking back to how he could never shoot anyone in the past, but he'll do it if it means that his best friend will be safe. He shoots Sweet Tooth right in the eye, the same eye that he doesn't have in Twisted Metal Black, and they both jump out the truck. Agent Stone starts shooting Sweet Tooth, and he makes Harold take the wheel as he jumps out of the car in such a cool shot, and starts bashing on Agent Stone's windshield, almost breaking it in the process, proving just how strong this dude really is. Stone shoots him in the chest, and he tumbles to the ground, but gets right back up. Then Mike and Stu run him over with a random car, and the last thing you see is Sweet Tooth's mask on the floor, signaling the end of Sweet Tooth and Harold. Everything starts coming to a head with Outlaw coming in head-on at Roadkill. They defeat Outlaw with a special move completely unique to the series, and they get knocked out in the process. Even though Outlaw is totaled though, that doesn't mean Agent Stone is. He pulls Quiet out of the car and almost kills her until John does a surprise attack, finally nailing someone with a knife throw. Another full circle moment, since we saw that he was always terrible with that, even when he was a kid.
I'm sorry. I was looking for your balls.
Quiet picks up the gun and gives him a choice to either die slowly or kill himself on the spot. And as they pull off, Agent Stone takes a look at the conveniently placed stuffed bear that belonged to the child he killed in the past, and he takes his own life. Juggernaut completely totaled, Twister and Flower Power have a passionate reunion as they remember their fallen comrades, saying that they're gonna get their revenge one day, and maybe that's what they'll wish for in Season 2's tournament. John and Quiet pulls up to New San Fran, and Raven welcomes only John with open arms, not Quiet, because she quote-unquote complicates things. John says he's not going anywhere with her until Quiet forces him to go in, straight up shooting him, so he has no choice but to receive medical attention inside the walls. And while leaving, she gets tasked to take John's place as a milkman, but she rejects it and decides to give the package to the homeless instead. Raven is ecstatic that John made it back. He made his way halfway across the country for this package, and we finally see what's inside, and it's fucking ice cream. Turns out, Raven and Calypso were testing him to see if he could make it back alive. The package wasn't important at all, but I'll admit it's pretty funny trying to imagine Calypso selling Raven some ice cream, I'm not gonna lie. He even messed up her order, which is classic Calypso. He's always been known to twist someone's words when it comes to making wishes, so him messing up her ice cream order is pretty freaking funny. It then cuts to a month later and John starts his new life in New San Fran, and he's having a great time actually. He's eating toaster strudels and even stores his clothes in compartments like he always wanted to. But strangely enough, everyone, and I mean everyone, is nice to him. Like a little too nice. He gets set up on a date with a new guard, and all he can think about during that date is Quiet. It then cuts to Quiet, and it turns out she built a little bit of a reputation for herself, being a post-apocalyptic Robin Hood, stealing half of the milkmen's deliveries and giving it to the poor. Raven asks everyone in town how they like John, and they're all noticeably scared of her, showing that she's not just the leader, but she's a dictator. And I think she has so much power because of the voodoo doll she's messing with. In her debut game, her wish was to get revenge on her bullies from school, and to do so, Calypso gives her these voodoo dolls to kill them. So she's most likely using the same method on everyone else in the town in some way. She's forcing everyone to be nice to him because she wants him to be happy for some reason. She gets word that John's on his way and everyone gets to their positions. He tells her that he's leaving for Quiet, and during their conversation, he starts to finally notice that things are a bit off. Raven brings John to a random house that turns out to be his old home before he lost his memory. All of his old memories started coming back to him, and Raven says that if he stays, he'll find out more about his past. But John rejects the offer one final time, and Raven's true colors start to shine through. This reminds me of Twisted Metal Black whenever John Doe discovered who he really was, because once he found out, it was already too late. Turns out that whole run was just a test from her and Calypso to see if he was worthy enough to drive for her in the first Twisted Metal tournament. That was the reason she put him through all that. And it cuts to Calypso himself putting pictures of future contestants on a black and silver tournament bracket. From behind, he looks kinda like how he did in 2012, but with a black suit that looks kinda like it has tire tread marks or some other kind of texture on it, and straight black hair that's been trimmed, instead of his untrimmed black or brown hair from the games. Or when he was bald, or when he had silver hair. On the board, he puts a picture of Twister, Preacher, and Axel from Twisted Metal 2. And Bloody Mary too, who seems to be somehow alive, which is crazy. She was stabbed in the chest and was believed to be dead. Maybe Mr. Slam carried her away on a stretcher with his
massive penis.
Either way it goes, Bloody Mary's for sure confirmed in the next season. Along with them, he puts Flower Power and Mr. Grimm too, which is awesome, from pretty much every game. And I'm pretty sure he's gonna be the Grim Reaper in this, because right when Raven says you better believe that the contestants aren't gonna be playing fair, it zooms right in on Mr. Grimm.
And you better believe who you face won't play fair.
Now, I'm not gonna cover Mr. Grimm and Axel's stories until season 2, so yeah, I'll hold off on it for now. Raven's plan was to use John's skills to turn every car into quote-unquote twisted metal and win the tournament for her, so she can use the wish on herself. And I'm pretty sure what she's gonna wish for is Kelly from the games. And the episode ends with Quiet being trapped by the real Darkseid army, or at least that's what I think they are, and their leader, Dollface, which is for sure John Doe's little sister that we see in the photos from earlier. The after credit scene shows Mike and Stu chilling with babes and weenies, until Sweet Tooth comes out of nowhere with a surprise attack and drags Stu away with Mike nowhere to be found. And it ends. And holy shit, bro, these were fire episodes, dude. For sure my favorite out of all 10. Most definitely an A+ for both of these. First off, the tournament? Bro, what, dude? I knew it too, bro. Like, I knew it was gonna be a precursor. I'm so glad they did this, because this show could have been so bad, but it wasn't. The whole thing with Quiet and Roadkill is understandable. Like, I was on her side with that. But he apologized, and that's cool. What I loved was Twister, Agent Stone, Juggernaut, and Sweet Tooth. Bro, he was legit. I loved that Roadkill achieved his dream, but decided to go back on the road for Quiet. I loved how evil Raven was, and I'm sure she's gonna use her wish to bring back Kelly. I really do hope she drives though in season 2, but I'll save all of that for a later video. And also, Axel and Mr. Grimm being in the mix, that's amazing. Because I was kind of mad that they wasn't in there in the first place. Also, I cannot believe Bloody Mary is alive.
Halfway.
Mike and Stu becoming friends again was pretty great too. And honestly, everything was amazing. There were of course some bad things, and I'm gonna say that, but I'll do that later. What makes this season close to perfect is the fact that this is just a precursor to the actual Twisted Metal. And seeing that Twisted Metal is the most watched and loved show on Peacock, it's for sure getting a season 2. There's honestly not one thing I didn't really like about these 2 episodes, so both of them deserve an A+ in my eyes. I have nothing but respect for the people that made this show. That's about it. I'm gonna save everything for the review, really. But before the review, I'm gonna put out a review of the live action One Piece that came out the other day. And I'll do my best to put them out as soon as possible. I know I have a problem with that. So then guys, it's been a pleasure making this series for y'all. I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace out.